Hey, this is Buddy King with Beach King Realty in Panama City Beach, Florida. And today we're going to talk about understanding closing costs for both the buyer and the seller. The first thing that I want you to understand is all closing costs are negotiable. It depends on how the offer is written. And I'll use the word offer and then contract. It's not a contract until all parties have signed. It's an offer to start with. So you can put in the offer anything that you want. You can ask the seller to pay for. You can ask them to pay the buyer's agent's compensation. You can ask them to pay for the title insurance. You can ask them to pay for the dock stamps of the deed. You can ask them to pay for repairs. Even if the house is listed as is, if you're probably going to have the offer is going to be contingent on an inspection, and if some things come back that need to be addressed, then you are probably going to go back and negotiate that the seller contributing to those repairs, if not paying for all of it, at least giving you a credit for part of it. And there's no typical set thing that anybody pays. Some things in the contract that are pre-printed in our contracts, but those can still be negotiated. It doesn't matter if it says that the seller is to pay all the title insurance and dock stamps on the deed. That's still negotiable. It's whatever we negotiate in our offer. And you just want to make sure that when these things are in writing and they are part of your offer. And you make it contingent on an inspection, even if it's as is, it's contingent on inspection. So we can negotiate everything, even the compensation. Several years ago, there was a change to the way that we operate, and I'm talking about realtors that belong to the National Association of Realtors. It depends on how the listing is. Sometimes now the seller has the option of not offering any compensation for the buyer's agent. But we still can ask for that in our offer if, depends on which side of the deal that I'm working on, the buyer side or the seller side. But you can ask for anything that you want, even if it's pre-printed in the contract. And you can structure our offer. We can put in there anything we want to. We can ask for anything. And that may be one thing to consider. Now, we are finding that all sellers are offering compensation. So I do have one listing that my seller's not offering compensation on, but there's a few out there. It's not as many as I thought there might be. But anyway, just make sure that you have a clear understanding about that before you sign on the dotted line. Seller concessions. You can ask the seller to make concessions, such as, I've got a listing that they agreed to it. We put it in the listing agreement. It says, give the buyer a $10,000 credit at closing, and it can be used to buy down points so to get a better interest rate, or they can use it for repairs, or whatever they want to use it for. Closing costs, they can use it for that. So it just depends on how your offer's structured. And then once you have a contract, you move forward from there, and you always revert back to that. And you have to remember, if you're financing a house, that sometimes, it depends on the lender, but what lenders include in your payment, you're going to be paying interest, you're going to be paying principal, you're going to be paying insurance and taxes. So they collect those and put them in escrow, and every year when it comes due, they pay it, so you don't have to worry about it. It's already included in your payment. So if you need assistance with purchasing or selling a home in the Panhandle of Florida, give me a call. Buddy King, Beach King Realty, 850-832-8042.